And we are live. Hey, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome to the show tonight Ashley Winstead on the Night Before Pub. Here to give us the inside scoop on Midnight is the Darkest Hour. Ashley, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this fabulous book.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Sara, and everyone watching. It's Pub Eve, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about Midnight is the Darkest Hour. In short, this is a Southern Gothic thriller, a murder mystery set around a pattern of bodies that keep appearing in the swamps outside of a small rural town in southern coastal Louisiana called Bottom Springs. And this book follows our protagonist, Ruth Cornier, who's 23. In the present timeline, it's a dual timeline book. So you're going back and forth in time, tracing and unraveling several mysteries. So some in the past and some in the future or in the present. And this book opens with the first skull being pulled out of the swamp, which absolutely shocks the people of the small town in Bottom Springs because this is firmly Southern Baptist country. Everyone there is kindly folk, morally upright. There hasn't been violence or a homicide in decades, or so they think. So no one knows who the skull belongs to or how it got there, except for our protagonist, Ruth Cornier, who is the preacher's daughter, the model of like upstanding girlhood and young womanhood in town. And she believes that she knows exactly who the skull belongs to and how it got there because she's the one who put it there.
Oh, my goodness.
That's my little elevator pitch.
Well, that little elevator pitch does good, Ashley Winstead. And I know I was completely absorbed by that as I was reading. And I cannot wait to get the scoop from you and to share it with everyone. So I just want to welcome everyone who's watching. So we are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. And this is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make them a little less painful for you. So if you've been here before, y'all know the drill. And if you're new, welcome back. Welcome at all. We're so happy to have you. Here's the drill. Every Monday for #Mystery Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Ashley Winstead about her prior red hot books. Ask her about Midnight is the Darkest Hour. We have big news, friends. This book's film rights just sold, and Ashley announced it today, so you're going to get to see this on the big screen, and I'm so freaking excited. And even better, you can order signed and personalized books tonight from the good folks at Murder by the Book, so you can get your Christmas presents, start thinking ahead. You got Christmas presents, birthday presents, your mother-in-law's birthday, your birthday. Treat yourself and get a signed personalized book because Ashley's going to be in store tomorrow and she can sign, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it to you. So I know I always like to say, to Sara, my best friend in the world, my inspiration. You want. So that's very exciting. So everybody, I'll drop the link where you can order. Okay, let's get into the comments. Randy joining us saying, hi, Sara. Hi, Ashley. Greetings from Indiana. Randy, great to have you. We have a mystery user in the house saying, howdy, ladies. I loved your book, Ashley.
Oh, thank you, mystery user.
We have Jennifer Brown joining us from YouTube saying, hello, Sara DiVello. It is a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Winstead.
Thank you, Jennifer. Same.
We have another mystery user giving us Black Hearts, very on brand.
Very on brand.
Jennifer saying, I love PKs. They make for some interesting characters.
Yes, preacher's kids.
Oh, I didn't know what that was. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here, I'm learning. We have another mystery friend saying, are you a fan of the books that you mentioned in the story?
I wonder if this is a question about Twilight, because Twilight plays a really large role in the book. And I don't know, Sara, if you want to dive into the Twilight of it all or talk about it later, but I'll just say I grew up not really a huge fan of Twilight. I was like a little bit too old for Twilight mania. And then have really come around in the Twilight Renaissance, I feel like we're having to think very differently about Twilight and become suspicious of my own snobbishness when it came to Twilight. And I have now I love it. And I reread the saga in preparation for writing Midnight's the Darkest Hour because I knew this book was going to be like my main character for everyone who hasn't read it, which I know is the majority of people since it comes out tomorrow. Our main character, Ruth, finds Twilight, which is one of the banned books, one of the books her father's banned because there's vampires, there's a cult in it. And it should just become so precious to her. She just feels all the love and passion for it. She says she knows she's supposed to feel for Jesus, but feels it instead for Edward Cullen. So she's 14 at the time, I should mention, when she finds it. So I really, I think, make a strong defense for why young women fall in love with books like Twilight and why it's so important and also belittled by people who are not young women and get something out of looking down on young women.
Ooh,
that was a long-winded way to answer that.
No, this is so helpful because I was too old for well, I don't know if I was. I missed the Twilight craze as you did.
Yeah.
So, but actually, I remember my husband was reading the books and seeing the movies. So, because he's into superhero, not supernatural stories, not of this world, not the Twilight superhero story, but werewolves and things like that. And he really enjoyed them. And I never got into it because I was like, I don't know. I don't love fantasy books. So if someone's a werewolf, it's not usually my cup of tea. Yeah. But I think the deeper meanings that everyone is talking about, certainly worthwhile. And I don't think any book should ever be banned. I think everyone should be free to read whatever books they want. I'm
100%.
Freedom of reading.
Yeah.
Yay. So I'm loving. So mystery user, tell us if you're a fan of Twilight. Oh, it's Christine. Hi, Christine. She's revealing herself. Hi, Christine. Joining us from Texas. So great to have you. We have another friend joining us from Philadelphia. Hi, friend in Philadelphia. So great to have you here. Christine saying, I don't know why my name is not showing up. And yes, about Twilight. You're on brand tonight, Christine. You're very mysterious.
You're very mysterious. It's perfect. Hi, Christine. I had this like vision in my head of this, preacher's daughter who just became obsessed with the thing she wasn't supposed to be, which is romantic love, which is Twilight. Which is like the story of a vampire and the kind of something her parents would call a cult, and just finding as one of several early rebellions that kind of plant a seed for her for bigger rebellions to come throughout the book.
Yes, exactly. So Ashley, let's talk about this rebellious young Ruth. Were you a rebellious young lady in a small southern town? Tell us about this story and your personal connections to it.
Yeah. Somewhere my mom is having a field day laughing because I was such a rebellious teenager, like my poor parents. And I absolutely, with Midnight is the Darkest Hour, am using this book and my ability to kind of like dive into the life and mind of a young woman, 17 to 23, because that's how old Ruth is throughout the course of the book. I did some personal, emotional excavation. I returned to my like inner teenager, inner child, and I was actually very much like Ruth in that I was both very rebellious and also strangely, paradoxically, very, very shy and well-behaved for the majority of my life. And someone who was very concerned with doing the right thing all the time and making straight A's and making her parents proud. And then I fully broke bad, the way that Ruth kind of like fully breaks bad. Though of course what you get to do in fiction is dramatize everything, right? So, the bad boyfriend turns into, this guy who is bad, but oh so good in every way that you can imagine a guy being. And the struggle with your parents that happens for so many young women, young adults, is dramatized in the book into this huge epic struggle between good and evil. So in short, yes, I'm working out some of my own experiences as a young woman in this book.
And bringing us along for the ride, and we're loving it.
Yeah.
Jennifer wants to know, are you a PK, Ashley? How much research did you have to do for that character to make sure that it came across as authentic? Great question, Jennifer.
I love that
Tell us
question.
about the research.
So I'm not a preacher's kid. And in fact, my parents, my family were only, I would say, moderately religious for the vast majority of my life until my teenage years, when we moved to a new place and my parents found a Southern Baptist church that was much more rigid and I would say not fundamentalist entirely, but so strict to the point where you were encouraged not to listen to secular music and read secular books, and there was just a lot of emphasis on purity and virginity for teenagers, especially teenage girls. And so my entire family just gobbled this up and got sucked right into this community. And I was the one lone person who really, in my family, really didn't really like it there, didn't kind of bite the, what is it, bite the hook, something. You're hearing some of my bias come out, so I'm going to try to get rid of, a little bit.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
I know, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. And so that caused a divide really between me and my family and me and my parents, especially, as I mentioned, this is the same time that I became very rebellious as a teen. So who knows, probably all of these things came together, it was like a perfect storm. And so it really did cause severe friction. But so looking back, I used so many of my own experiences, like reading the Left Behind series. If anyone else read those apocalyptic books for children about how you were going to be left behind if you were evil, or, a sinner. And just thinking about some of the things I witnessed in person, but then also I have had so many friends who were preachers' kids, so many friends who were involved in churches, church communities that were even more intense than the one I experienced. And so I just drew from everyone's experience who I was close and intimate with. And funny enough, I have had probably like 15 interviews for Midnight is the Darkest Hour pre-pub so far. And I swear to you, 12 out of those 15 have been with preachers' kids, like folks who have grown up preachers' kids. In fact, one of my interviews which I had no idea, but it was with someone who went to the church that I went to, that the Southern Baptist Church. And so it was wonderful to get to kind of like commiserate and talk about our experience via the vehicle of this book.
Wow.
Life is wild.
Life is wild. Wow. Wow. This is fascinating. Jennifer, thank you for the great question about the research. And Ashley, thanks for letting us know this incredibly enriching backstory that you have channeled and sifted and dissected to make sense of it and poured it all into the character of Ruth as she navigates life in Bottom Springs with her dad, the preacher. Jennifer saying nice.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Leisha joining us from Texas saying hello, ladies. Hello to you, Leisha. Welcome to the conversation. So you guys, I am so excited to be able to offer you signed and personalized books tonight. So this is, I always say books make the best gift. And I think that signed books make sort of an extra level nice gift. Mm-hmm. And then personalized signed books are the coolest gift of all. And we are able to offer that to you tonight. So you can order signed and personalized books tonight. Again, you can have Ashley say anything to Susie, the coolest kid ever, yes. Which is just so incredible that we can offer that. And when the movie drops, you can say you have a signed copy of the book, and how freaking cool is that? So Here is the link to order, no matter where you're watching from on Facebook or YouTube. Click the link, and then in the comments section on your checkout, say what you want Ashley to write it to and who you want it signed to. And that is going to be such a great gift for yourself. # treat yourself or others.
Yes, it's my favorite thing to do. I love personalizing books. So hit me with your best shot, whatever you want. If you want poetry, you want Taylor Swift quotes, you want whatever you want in there. Who I'd want to cast in the screen version, anything you want. Happy to.
Oh my God. Tell us who you would cast, Ashley. Who do
oh my gosh. So I need reader suggestions for the character of Everett, who is the lead along with Ruth. But my production company and I have been floating Sadie Sink for Ruth. If so, anyone who's watched Stranger Things, she is the amazing actress with the fiery red hair, who made the Kate Bush song Running Up That Hill very famous this past year with that scene. And she's just an incredible actress. And she just looks exactly like how I imagined my main character, Ruth, looking. So that's that's like, if I could ask for anything from the book and TV film gods, that would be a Sadie Sink casting.
Oh my God. Well, I can now only picture, because of course Ruth is so obsessed with Twilight, I can only picture, I'm totally blanking on the actor's name out, but that incredibly gorgeous guy.
Oh, Robert Pattinson, right?
Back here. I'm like, I can only picture him as Ever.
That is a good casting. I approve of that. Yeah.
I mean, the character is so model gorgeous. I mean, I feel like we need that, like, those Ashton Kutcher like cheekbones. We need someone who is, a male model.
Yes. Otherworldly, Ruth thinks to herself.
Otherworldly, but so special. Okay, Leisha wants to know, who has been your hardest character to write and why? Great question.
Ooh, what a good question. I would say it's always my villains, because I just really want to do a good job in making my villains three-dimensional and believable and even relatable. I'll stretch that even further. So I'm not going to say who those villains were in Midnight is the Darkest Hour, because I don't want to spoil anything. But the villains for sure in Midnight, and then in my previous books, Housewife and Dreams. Oh, I guess I don't want to spoil those either. Okay, I'm sorry to do a cop-out kind of answer by not saying specific character names, but it's always like I spend so much time in character development, trying to understand my villains as deeply as I do my protagonist. So
that is such a great point, Ashley, because as a writer, I also struggle with that, because I get so enmeshed and so protective and so in love with my characters that it's hard for me to see it from the bad guy or girl's point of view. And one thing I have made myself do to be more, because I write them as so evil and unrelatable, and then I actually make myself defend them to try to get in their headset space.
That's so smart.
And it's really hard, but then I do feel that makes my characters more enriched when I make myself be them and defend themselves. And I'm like,
that is so smart. I love that. And I'm stealing that shamelessly for my next book.
Steal it, Ashley. I love it. Leisha saying, thank you so much for answering my questions. Leisha, that's what we're here for. We are here to connect readers to writers and introduce them to their next favorite writers. So that's what we're all about. Catch a Clue, aka Wendy. Welcome to the conversation. So great to have you here.
Catch a Clue. I love that.
Catch a Clue. So I want to get into some of the incredible praise that this book has earned, because there is so much. So let's kick off with Good Housekeeping saying this is a woven tale. I'm going to pop it up so we can all read it together. This is a well-woven tale of love and lust, dark impulses, and darker deeds. Pro tip, read this one with all the lights on unless you never want to sleep again. I actually did have to not read it too late at night, because I was like,
really?
I'm scared.
That's so funny. That's so funny to me, because, when you're writing a thriller, you're the one in charge, so it doesn't scare you, the story. And so it's funny to hear, maybe funny isn't the right word, but, it's so interesting to hear that the works frightens other people because you're like, huh, oh, interesting. I wonder if that says something about me that I just, not phased at all.
It says a lot about your dark and twisted heart, Ashley Winstead. That's what we're really here to talk about. But they are not the only ones. Library Journal awarding you a starred review. Congratulations on that. How fantastic. Deeming this an excellent twisty mystery, and couldn't have said it better myself. Crime Reads raving a darkly romantic gothic tale of a swampy southern town with too many bad men and too much fear of the devil. Winstead's spellbinding prose ensnares the reader just as much as the eerie setting and the driving suspense. The reason I want to talk about this one out of all of the incredible praise is because I am a prose appreciating dork who will stop and reread a sentence over and over and over when it is beautifully wrought. And I did that so many times with your book, Ashley, because I don't just want a twisty, thrilling story, which of course I also want, hashtag high maintenance, but I really love and appreciate beautiful prose. And I appreciated the word choice with how you described the reverence for nature and the stillness of the night and the beauty of trees and the connection and the safety that you can, and the spiritual connection that you can feel being in nature alone or with someone else who is also reverent toward nature. And so I really loved that Crime Reads honed in on that, because that was something I really loved about it. Tell us about your word choice and your approach to prose.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, thank you so much. That just means a tremendous amount to me because I am also a prose dork where I read poetry because just the beauty of the language and the economy of language that poets have. And this book was actually in many ways inspired by Mary Oliver's poetry. And I give a little shout out to that in the acknowledgement, where I say this book is to my Uncle Russell, who told me that I did not have to be good, which is a reference to Mary Oliver's poem Wild Geese that starts, "You do not have to be good." And her poetry is just, like you said it so perfectly, about reverence for nature and about finding stillness and spirituality in being animal beings that belong in nature, and just that incredible sense of just almost transcendence that I guess other folks would find via religion, Mary Oliver found in nature. And so I really wanted to impart that sense as best as I could, that Ruth is finding that transcendence, and that kind of like connection to something beyond herself in the natural world. And as someone who's just devoured so much Mary Oliver poetry her entire life, since the tender age of 11, when I got my collection from my Uncle Russell, my first book, I think at some point I was just trying to emulate her is probably the most honest answer.
Oh, I loved that. And I, have always found solace and divinity in nature, in the magic of moonlight and the beauty of trees. And I went for a 3-hour walk today with my aunt and uncle through a swamp, and it was so magical and so beautiful. Just marveling at moss and at tidal pools, and just being in that beauty and that stillness is spiritually uplifting for so many of us. And so that was another thing that I really appreciated in the book. And I loved how Ever and Ruth bond over quoting each other poetry, because they're both dorks, and
they're both such dorks. Yes, they're both book nerds, and I thought, what better way to hopefully forge a connection between these characters and my readers than have all of us be book nerds, this shared love of language and literature. And I told you again that Ruth is a little piece of me, has a little piece of me. So that's my young book nerd and poetry nerd. And yes, love poetry. I love that. Me too. That's just like, I also felt, since this is a first person perspective. So we're in Ruth's head. We're the voice of the book is Ruth's voice. And so it was particularly important to me that it read as if this was the voice of a young woman who was very, very well read, who was, reverent toward nature and love, and just she sounded like someone who had grown up in the library. So.
Well, as someone who also grew up in the library, I just loved her and love knowing that she's a part of you. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, we have some questions. We have lots of questions coming in. We're going to get to them. Don't you worry. Okay, so first of all, I'm just scrolling back. Someone asked about this. Jennifer says she has trouble defending her villains in her story. She's going to have to dig deeper. Dig deeper, Jennifer. You can do it. You can do it. Yep. Someone else is asking about this gorgeous cover. I'm just scrolling back to find it. Oh, here it is. Loved the cover. Did you have any input in it? And was this the only title? The moon is perfect. It is so gorgeous. So tell us about your did you get to decide?
Yes. Much to my publisher's chagrin, maybe. I always have a lot of input and a lot of feedback on my covers. And I'll just start by saying this is my favorite cover of any of the books that I have. So I'm so in love with this cover. If I could wallpaper my house in this cover, I would, just because the colors, the moon, I'm a nerd for anything celestial or lunar or stellar, anything like that. So I love all of that. Since this is my third thriller with my thriller publisher, Sourcebooks, they have learned that I'm a very picky person and will give them lots of feedback. So they've learned to give me tons of cover options from the beginning. So then we kind of locate the vibes that we all agree on. And kind of narrow things down. So I had great fun doing that with a lot of different options. There was a snake cover. There was a burning cross cover. There was, a blood moon cover. There was a lot of different things, and they were all beautiful, but this really spoke to me. And one thing my publisher does that's very unique in the publishing world is they actually consumer test titles and covers. So before we land on a final one of each, they will put it out into the world and have consumers weigh in on it, and then kind of try to get a general sense for what people are gravitating to. And I just think that's so cool and smart to get some data. And your last question.
You're wearing that beautiful, I noticed you're color coordinating your dress.
Yes,
gorgeous.
Talk about being a nerd. I love to color coordinate with my covers.
I love it.
Thank you.
Love it. And then both this person and Alicia want to know about the title. Yes. So this person wants to know, did you have any input, and was this the only title? And Alicia also asking about the title. Everyone wants to know about this title, asking if you got any input. Did you come up with it, or did someone else? So let's answer both these questions.
Yeah, I came up with this. So my titles are always this huge iterative and collaborative process with my agent and my editor, and the marketing teams also weigh in, which is something a lot of folks who aren't in the publishing world are sometimes surprised to know, just how collaborative those things are, like titles. But the original title for this book was Make a Beast of Yourself. And my editor was like, that's a little aggressive. So let's find something else. And so just, that process for me is I'll go back and reread my book and then just brainstorm as I'm reading everything that could possibly capture the feelings, the mood of my book. And so I came up with Midnight is the Darkest Hour because it's actually a line from the book. But it's a surprise because it sounds so ominous, midnight is the darkest hour. But in the book, not to spoil anything, but midnight, the darkest hour, becomes the safe refuge for Ruth and Everett. It becomes the time when no one else is looking at them and judging them, and they can really be themselves. So it's kind of about finding solace in the darkness. So I really liked that it had that meaning.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for this backstory. We just saying the cover is beautiful and very intriguing. Christine saying, thank you for answering my question about the cover. I agree. It is fabulous. Wendy saying, I like the consumer test. That's so smart. I
So
am
smart.
selflessly offering to pipe in my put me on Team Winstead consumer testing.
Love it.
Yay. We just saying that she loves that the title is drawn from a sentence in your book. Yeah, so
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love it when writers do that. So I just like shamelessly was like, we're going to do this.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You guys, I want to remind you that we have signed and personalized books available. This is such an incredible opportunity. So when this book becomes a movie, you will have a signed first edition.
Yeah.
These are collector's items. These are value. These will be the collector's editions are always a good thing to have. So grab your signed and personalized book. And Ashley has already offered to put Taylor Swift quotes, poems, quotes, her casting for the future movie, or anything that you want. I'm going to ask her to sign it to her best friend, Sara.
Yes.
So whatever you want, you guys, this is such an amazing opportunity. She will be in store tomorrow. So get your orders in tonight. Get your orders in within the next 22 hours so that Ashley can sign when she is in store tomorrow. Okay, so I want to get to some of this other praise. So Booklist saying that you blended gothic horror and mystery. I was intrigued by that. I wouldn't think that. Would you describe this as horror?
No, but my books have been called horror by many reviewers. So
Hey,
I guess to each their own. Horror maybe is like a subjective.
I had no idea. Yeah, because I think it's certainly scary, but I always
There
wonder
are scenes, I guess I could say, that probably are pretty solidly maybe in the horror category, but it's so hard to talk about it without spoiling it.
Yeah,
You'll know it when you get there.
people are really particular. We don't like spoilers on this.
Yep.
Mary Kubica, who's been on the show twice, had some wonderful words of praise, saying that Ashley Winstead uses her versatility and virtuosity as an author. I'm popping this up so we can all read it together. As an author in this dark, eerie, and completely enchanting book about friendship, love, and vengeance. So I loved that play on both versatility and virtuosity. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that when someone deems you a virtuoso. I think you should tattoo it on your face.
I know, Queen Mary of all people.
Oh my God,
I just love her so much.
I love it. Julie Clark, another favorite who's also been on, had some also wonderful words of praise. She blurbed your past book, I should say, as well, calling this book dark and lyrical, a compelling story about the occult evil and the way that religious fundamentalism can overtake reason. It's also a story about loyalty and friendship. I loved that she honed in on that because that to me was one of the most beautiful parts of the story. The praise just goes on and on. Amanda J. Atisa, author of You're Invited, also been on the show and coming back for her next one in February. Raves Winstead delivers yet another multi-layered thriller, so nuanced and intricately woven that you absolutely cannot help but race to the end. Congratulations on that and so much more.
Thank you.
I'm going to post all of, oh my gosh, and we can't not mention May Cobb, your fellow Texan and a crowd favorite who's been on the show a couple times for her fabulous books.
May is the best.
I met May at Thriller Fest this year after being friends online for all these years. And I gave her a hug and she said, Sara, your hugs are like medicine. And I felt like I should get that tattooed on my face.
Oh my God. That's classic May. She's just like, she is a force. She's just like a magical being in the world. Absolutely.
She is a magical being in the world.
She is.
Well, she calls your book an utter triumph. Doesn't get any better than that. She said, Midnight is the Darkest Hour is your most dazzling thriller to date. This is a one-sitting binge read. So cancel all your plans and prepare to be completely obsessed. So I want to just remind you that y'all can get your hands on this one-sitting binge read and yet actually design it to you before it's a famous movie. So you're going to be the cool kid. You're going to be the cool kid who has the signed book. So someone's saying May is such a sweetheart. I think that's you, Christine. May is a sweetheart, and so are you. Actually, meeting you was such a pleasure.
It
So
was so lovely to meet you, Christine. Thank you for being here. And I agree, May is an absolute sweetheart.
you all, you're going to want to get your hands on this book. So here again, once again, we're out of time. The time flies when you're having fun. Grab your copy, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Click and pre-order, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send this. We'll sign it, have Ashley sign it tomorrow in the store, and send it out to you. And it will be such a good gift for yourself or others. All right, y'all, that is a wrap. Ashley Winstead, thank you so much for coming on to join us the night before your book pubs with all the delicious details on Midnight is the Darkest Hour. Thank you for letting us know the backstory about Ruth, your research, the title, the cover, all the good stuff. And congratulations on your incredible movie news. We're so excited.
Thank you, Sarah. This has been so amazing. Like, thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for being here and for watching later as well.
Yay! Yes, exactly. So many people watch later, so we appreciate you guys too. Everyone who watches with us live and later. That's a really good point. Thank you, Ashley. All right, y'all. I'll be back at the top of the hour with Jean Kwok. Go get a snack, a drink, and get back here. I will see you then. Ashley Winstead, please come back and talk to us for your next book. We can't wait.
With pleasure. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, everyone.
All right, y'all, pre-order now.
Yep.